Morning, Mr. K.
Yeah, good morning, Eric.
Mm. So today we discuss an old topic, and the topic is: Are you more you when you are alone or when you are with others?
Yep.
And yeah, and for me, when I look at this topic, and since I think you and me have learned a lot of things during this year,
Mm.
and I started to think. Mm, what is a topic we can actually came out? What kind of discussion we can actually came out from this topic?
Oh,
And because you see, this topic can have some perspective. First,
mm,
we can see alone versus others.
mm,
Maybe it can relate to introverts, extroverts, right?
mm.
And
Yep.
also, but this topic also got you. Are you more you? So can it be related to something like being yourself?
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you think?
For this one, yeah, actually, uh, my point is more towards the true self, the
Mm,
being yourself that part, and
mm,
not the direction of introvert versus extrovert.
mm. But I
Mm.
remember, yeah, actually I forget already. I think the last conversation for this topic, what kind of direction we have discussed.
Mm.
But never mind. And yeah, I totally agree with you. I will also mm, use the use the being yourself perspective to discuss this topic and less about the introvert extrovert. But there's a tricky problem. There's a tricky part here.
Mm.
You can be more you when you're alone or when you are with others.
Mm.
Yeah, because it's kind of like A or B, apple of orange. Which
Mm.
one you like more? And even though one is slightly better than the others, it's better. But just like one example is maybe my result, your result is better than me, but both of us failed the exam. So the comparison is something like not meaningful. Yeah, and also another thing is, do we really need this perspective to look at being yourself, which is compare kind of like your quote unquote your true self,
Mm.
whether you are more suitable being alone or whether you are more suitable be with others. What's your opinion?
Mm. Okay, for the first tricky part, which is like whether we think we are more uh, ourselves when we're alone or with others.
Mm,
For this one, I think my opinion is most of the people they are more themselves when they are alone.
I agree.
Uh, uh,
Even though you are an extrovert, right?
mm, yep. Yeah. Maybe they can argue, but I think yeah, not. There is no kind of like a very strong point to counter argue this.
Mm. And
Yep.
because you are most comfortable with yourself.
Mm. Yeah,
Mm,
you need to find what is the something to be compared. It must be like you yourself first.
mm,
This is my thinking. Yep. And the second tricky point is whether do we need to look at this perspective and then to deal or to discuss whether being yourself, all of the discussion about being yourself, right? Do we have to look at we and then with other people's, right? I think this is a good starting point. Because being yourself, what is the problem of being yourself? The problem is that you yourself, you have your own personality, attitude, you have your own ways of doing things. There's no problem. The problem is when you're dealing with others, when you uh, when you sometimes have to like not being yourself and then maybe follows others ways of doing things. That is the I think it's the problem of the challenges, the difficulty of being yourself. So I think this is a very good starting point to discuss being yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like not really relate to this topic, right?
Not really relate. Do you say
Yeah.
that being
Means
yourself is not the main focus of this topic?
no, I mean okay, I think but first I agree what you say. The challenge of being yourself is you need to find out, you need to walk around away when you are dealing with other people. And but so the starting point is you be yourself and then you try to do something and adapt the world, the society more, right? So
Yep.
you come out from yourself. It's not like either you come either you start from the society, either you see what people like, what people hate, and then you follow them. Then you kind of like use the things they like or they hate and form you, quote unquote, yourself.
Yep.
So the starting point must be kind of like you finding yourself. You're
Yeah.
finding yourself, and you don't care the outside information. You kind of like searching your inner. So
Yep.
the starting point is you, yourself, your inner. And but this topic is kind of like try to compare, try to try to make a comparison between whether you are alone or whether you are with others. Are you more you? So but we already got the conclusion you can't you have to come from your inner first.
Yep.
And when we talk about being yourself, and also the next thing is when you talk about being yourself, but does it mean that it's a fix?
Yep.
It's not fixed, right?
Yeah, for this one, actually, I think being more, are you more you? The you here, I like to use another term, which is like true self. True self is not fixed. For this one, it can be changed. For example, you like something more, you realize something, or you value something more. It can change along the time. So this is not fixed. Yeah.
Yeah, but the intention of this topic is kind of like, are you more you when you're alone or when you are with others? They kind of like already have the premise which that the you here cannot be changed easily. Is it something like that? Or at least cannot be changed in short terms.
Yeah, that there is a little bit more towards to this direction.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, this is my thought on this topic, and yeah, I think it's yeah. but it's good to make us think in deep, and we can like jump out the boxes and not really restrict ourselves in the topic. So it kind of like the critical thinking before you answer a question. Maybe you can kind of like test the assumption of the question.
Yep.
Yeah, and okay, and one of the thing I realized that is sometimes, maybe not sometimes, but it's a lot of times, you, when you express yourself, or when you kind of like fighting yourself, you actually are not working with yourself. I mean, you actually are not working alone. You actually try to do something, try to figure out. For example, for our daily conversation, the more you discuss, the more you say, the more you think, and then you can try to find out what really is your thinking. If you don't say out, then you don't think more. You don't think deep. You will not reflect what you have said in the morning, in the afternoons, or in the next day, or 3 days after the conversation. And but once you say out, and it's kind of like you place a seed inside your mind, and you can trace back the seed anytime soon. Yeah, especially if something what you say is not something you listen from the counterpart. So even though in this case you are talking and people are listening, but you are the beneficiary. And it also can link to our yesterday topic, like the social facilitation, but it is in terms of effectiveness.
Yeah.
And I would like to link to another topic, which is the female learning methods, teachers learns. And in this case, if we look at this thing, pursuing yourself, finding yourself, try to become a better version of yourself, it's kind of like you need cooperation. You need to like work with others. Of course, you can do it by your own. You still can kind of like more or less achieve this when you're alone. For example, you're writing some essay and you're writing a book. Yeah, but you still need some feedback, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you make some sharing, you also need some feedback. So yeah, so how do you think about this perspective?
Okay, I try to repeat your point. I'm not sure whether I get it. Is it like there are some tasks that we can do it by our own, for example, writing an essay, and then this is more towards alone. But if we try to interact with other people, try to involve other people in, then we can get some other benefits.
Yeah, for example, you write a book, you can publish, and then you got the feedback. You write an article, you can publish, and then you got the feedback. And my point here is, which way can allow you become more you? Got the feedback, or the kind of like whether to receive the feedback from others is important when you want to be more you.
Yeah, I got it. Which is, if we talk about like more you, yeah, like we say, it doesn't have to be fixed. It doesn't have to be fixed. And also, I believe that if somebody want to improve themselves along the times, then they also don't wish their true self is fixed. They also want to improve. They also want to change. But the change here doesn't mean that just like blindly follows others' opinion or others' attitude or value. Yeah, there is a process here which is a little bit similar to trial and error, and people receive new things, and then they can decide whether to accept it or not, and they can even like they don't know, they try it, yeah, and they see what is the result. So in your case, I think receiving the feedback is definitely the better choice if somebody want to improve themselves instead of to stick to themselves and not no change.
Yeah, this is also how I see the case. And also it makes sense from the self-esteem perspective, right? For example, the dependent self-esteem, yeah, you also receive other people's opinion, but kind of like try to do something they like, try to avoid something they don't like, and then your emotion and then your way of doing things, your behavior will be affected and can be affected by others. And when you go beyond that, which is the independent self-esteem, you still have some part, even though a particular task, you still have some part, or maybe some of time, not all of the time, but some of time, you still will kind of like being affected by others. But you are kind of start to know that there's something you very sure that you follow your own way, you don't follow others' way. There are something that you abide, and this is your principle. Nobody can change. Maybe it could be your ethic, some morality, some of your principle, some of your values. Yeah. And when you go beyond that, it becomes unconditional self-esteem. But when we reach the unconditional self-esteem, does it mean that we stop receiving other feedback?
Receiving, yeah, I think they still receive. They still take it into their thinking. Maybe when they're doing reflection, that is something good to think.
Okay, then what is a relationship, or what is the intersection between the self-esteem and being yourself?
The self-esteem here is not the unconditional one, right? It's not only that one. Or are you referring just unconditional?
Yeah, I actually referring the unconditional self-esteem.
Unconditional. Unconditional.
Okay, how about we look at one by one? Let's say the dependent self-esteem. Of course, it's not like being yourself, pursuing yourself, right? And how about independence?
Independence. Half.
Or at least you start you start care no people opinions, or care no people critics, maybe. and you start the journey, and yeah. Mm. But I would like to say, even though you have the dependent self-esteem, but it doesn't mean that you follow everything other people like or don't like. You follow everything, your decision, your behavior based on based on people's, based on others. And dependent self-esteem, you still have your own thinking. Just your thinking will keep affected by others, and you will feel stressed, and you will feel struggle, even though you can still stick with your own way to do the thing. And you just kind of like keep looking, keep concerning what people think about you. I think this is self-esteem. And self-esteem is kind of like how you view yourself and how you think people view yourself. Right?
Yeah.
It's nothing related to the change of your behavior.
Change of behavior. It is not directly, but it
Yeah,
will
it's not
lead
directly.
to behavior changes, right?
Yeah,
It will affect.
indirectly. Yeah,
Yeah,
it will
indirectly.
indirectly. Yeah. So when you talk about if the dependent self-esteem is this case, and what do you mean is the half for independent self-esteem?
Independent self-esteem.
Because you see, when you have a high level of dependent self-esteem, you still can be yourself because you are doing your own thing. You just maybe you concern people opinion, you care people opinion, and also maybe you don't want to accept their opinion, even though you receive their opinion, but you are struggling, you don't want to accept, but you feel difficult because you kind of like inevitably were thinking their opinions, thinking their feeling, and so it in turns affect your emotion, affect your self-esteem level. So even though in dependent self-esteem, you still can do your own thing, you still can pursue your passions, right?
Yeah.
And you still can be yourself. So yeah. So what does it mean when we go to independent self-esteem? What has changed?
Okay. I think their direction, maybe their action, they are quite similar between the dependent self-esteem type of person and independent type of person. Quite the same, because you say in this case they are dependent, they have dependent self-esteem, but they still be themselves, right? They still do the things they think they want to do, even though they may not feel good because their self-esteem is dependent on other people's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, dependent and independent guy, the things that they do is quite similar. They are be themselves. They are themselves. But the problem is, independent self-esteem guy, they have less mental costs or negative mental costs, than the dependent type of guys.
They have more peace in their mind.
Yeah.
They have maybe they feel happier.
Yeah, less struggling.
Yeah, and also maybe they can more able to achieve the self-actualize. They think they can they think they are pursuing the self-actualization. They are doing something that they really want to do, and they think they kind of like lead to their potential because they are not affected by others' opinion, and they think this is a task, this is a project, this is my life project, and I'm doing the thing. I'm moving the progress. I'm living to my potential. Yeah, and if you always think this project is it good, is it bad, how the people think that, is it useful, is it meaningful, and you can't really feel the sense of achieving, or in the direction of achieving, or in the path, or in the like the process of achieving the self-actualization. This is how I see the thing. This is how I feel that. I'm not sure whether you feel the same. Give you some example. Let's say, for example, let's say you're a teacher, but you think that, okay, what you are doing is actually meaningless. Yeah. And how can you become a good teacher? How can you achieve? How can you pursue, not achieve, but pursue self-actualization when you having a teacher, when you have a career as a teacher?
Okay, so my goal here is being a good teacher, right? A better teacher. And right now I'm not good. Is it something like that?
Not necessarily not good, or not necessarily bad. But let's say you are a teacher, okay, and how to pursue self-actualization? Okay, you have many ways, right? But most of people link it to your career, because it's kind of like your life project. Yeah. And or maybe you can have other way. For example, become a good husband, become a good life partner, become a good friend of your best friend, become a good father, become a good parents. You can I would say it is kind of like you want to become better, you are pursuing the self-actualization. And when this is your career, you are a teacher or you are accountant, you want to become a good accountant, you want to become a good teacher. But how do you see the case when you are pursuing the self-actualization? Or actually, you think my career will not will not give me a chance to pursue my self-actualizations?
Okay, in this case, yeah, I think I can pursue it. As long as I feel satisfied with my career, which is like what I want, and then I try it, I did it. Yeah, so this is self-actualize.
So your satisfaction is come from maybe you help the student achieve a better result?
Yeah, it can be a sense of achievement, and and also you are satisfied with what you are doing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it can go back to my question just now.
Yeah.
My question is, What if you think that the life project, the project you are doing is meaningless? Are you still able to pursue the self-actualization?
Meaningless.
For example,
Mm.
yeah, you can help your student achieve a higher result, right? But so
Mm.
what? Mm. Do you get what I want to say? Do you get my point?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So what? But mm, yeah, maybe it can happen to some people. Maybe something they think is very meaningful, and after some times or suddenly become meaningless. Is it?
Mm.
In that case, I think yeah, it will affect the self-actualization. Uh, when something is not meaningful to you, then yeah, I think to me, I can't achieve self-actualize.
Or at least it the feeling will be impaired, right?
Yep.
And you don't feel like you actually really help others. You don't
Mm,
really doing something you want to do because initially you think, okay, I want to, maybe as a teacher, you want to help your student, and but you're not sure by doing this really can help your students
mm,
in long terms. You're just training them become a person can get a higher mark.
mm,
And it, I think it not only apply on teacher, it apply on every jobs. And when you start realizing the thing you're doing isn't provide much value,
mm,
and it kind of like hurt your self-actualization. Just like for example, if you are the mutual fund manager, or if you are an investor,
yeah.
and you help people manage the funds, manage their capital,
Mm,
and help them generate alpha. Alpha means asset returns than the markets. Yeah,
oh, okay. More than that, right?
yeah.
Mm,
And but 99%, or even not 99%, but 95 or 90%
mm,
of the active fund manager, yeah, including the hedge fund manager, they underperform the market.
yeah, they generate negative alpha. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say that because they underperform the market
Mm,
and they charge a fee.
mm,
Mm. And if people go invest in SP 500 or QQQ, they don't
yeah.
need to give much fee.
Mm,
They don't need to give the commission. So if you are the fund managers, how how can you see your job is meaningful? You are very busy. You do a lot of research.
yeah.
Yeah, you call a lot of person to confirm something. You attend a lot of seminar. You attend a lot of like the 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 earning meeting, the earning call,
Mm,
the quarterly uh, or the AGM, annual general meetings of
mm,
of the company you're interested. You study about the macroeconomic. You
yeah.
do so much homework, but at the end you underperform the market, and then yeah, it hurts, right?
Yep.
Mm, mm. So try to put yourself into that kind of a scenario and try to think how can you achieve. Oh, sorry, I keep using the wrong term. How can you pursue the self-actualization in this case? Is it very difficult?
Mm, yeah, it is difficult. You,
Mm,
you can kind of like set your own goal. For example, how many percent you want to achieve. Maybe it is still lower than the market. Mm, Yeah, but you just look at the market, then yeah, that is something very upsetting.
Mm. And yeah, but I can't think maybe there's some subjectivity here, and we can't like cheat ourselves. We rationalize our behavior, our thought, our connection. We think that it's not the main point. The main point is we create a great business. We earn a lot of money. We hire so much workers, hire so much employees,
Oh,
and keep their job.
provide
Even
job
though
opportunity.
even though you underperform the market. Although to me it seems bullshit. I think because it's my principle. I want to do something can really provide value, right? And because it's just a waste, right? You hire so many people and then you do so much thing. You actually are wasting the people who trust you, which is your investors. Yeah, you are hurting them. How can you think you're actually doing some good thing because you provide a job to employees while you are hurting your investors, the persons, the people, your good friends, your best friend, your client is your best friend. They put their real money, into your company. And how can you hurt them? If it's your best friend, will you convince them to invest in your company to let you manage their funds? Or maybe you tell them you go to invest into SP500 or QQQ. I'm actually incapable to help you generate alpha. If it's your best friend, will you say this? Yeah, I think you will. Or maybe for your own money. For your own money, you will.
Yeah.
And how about some salesmen? If you don't really believe or trust your company product can create value, how can you really be yourself at the same time sell the product out? To me, because my principle to me is very difficult. So maybe I'm not very suitable become a salesman. Or maybe if I found the best product, I can become the best salesman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can also think like different products will have different strengths and weaknesses, and we provide value to those who value that more, right?
Yeah, so this is subjectivity. You can kind of like cheat yourself. You can rationalize yourself. Yeah. For example, BMW or Mercedes or other branch of the car or Tesla. Yeah. If you think like Tesla is really a best product, and you go become a salesman, and then you sell the product, and you won't have kind of like a lot of mental cost. And if you can make money from that, and you feel really really happy because you really think that you're helping people, and you think there's no other alternative cars better than Tesla maybe at this moment. Yeah, so it kind of like make me think pursuing self-actualization, the real self-actualization is so difficult. Of course you can cheat yourself and achieve kind of like a little bit fake self-actualization, but do you want to be the fake guy?
No, yeah, that is not our final goal.
Mm.
Mm.
And if you see, if you try to think, which people will feel more happier, which type of person will actually achieve a higher level of self-actualization, live to their real potential. Mm.
Yeah. So what is the option? Any options?
No, I mean
Mm.
just the two I mentioned just now. The first
Oh,
one is you
salesman.
can do some, yeah, you can do salesman, or you can become a fund manager. You underperform the market.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe you are the fund manager. You outperform the market. You are the salesman. You're selling the best the best product you think, and it align with your value,
Mm.
and you
Yeah.
think there's no alternative.
Mm. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, I would
Or
like to
maybe
talk. Oh.
say one more example.
Mm.
Or maybe a teacher. Yeah, the teacher here doesn't mean that it's teach the primary school student or teach the secondary school student. It can teach an adult. It can teach any subject. It can teach any skill, right?
Mm.
You are teaching something that you think is really important,
Mm.
versus like the teacher teach something, the skill. Maybe the skill is highly valuable by the society. Maybe for example programming. Maybe for example like some other skill. Let's say accounting. Let's say finance. Yeah.
Mm.
Let's say it could also be language, Chinese or English. Yeah. It also could be maybe the mathematics, science, history. Yeah. But you don't think it's important. You don't think, mm, yeah, or maybe the thing you are teaching is really isn't that important. Mm.
Mm.
So one side is we are doing something, and the thing objectively is really important, and also you
Okay.
subjectively think that it is also important,
Oh.
versus something that we are doing objectively, it seems like not clear, not very clear whether it's important or not, whether it providing value or not.
Mm.
And sometimes it just didn't provide any additional value, just like the fund manager example.
Mm.
And but you subjectively think that it is important, you are providing value, which is you rationalize yourself, you treat yourself.
Mm.
These two, you compare. How about the level of self-actualization they can achieve, the happiness level they can achieve?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I think there will
Still has
some
some
impact.
difference, right?
Mm.
What?
Impact to your
Yeah.
way of pursuing your self-esteem. Kind of
Mm.
like during a journey of pursuing your self-esteem. One day when you realize something, or one day you couldn't rationalize yourself.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Mm. And actually, I
Mm.
have a question,
Mm.
which I don't know much, which is the fund manager just now, that
Mm.
example. Because you say that more than 90% of fund manager cannot outperform the market.
Mm.
And maybe you told me before, but I forget right now. Is it long term or both long and short term or just like long term?
Long term is kind of like there's a 3 years data,
Mm.
5 years data, and 10 years data.
Okay. So do they?
In short terms, you are like maybe you can outperform the market, but in long term, 90% of the fund manager cannot outperform the market.
Mm,
And even though you look at the Ray Dalio, one of
yeah.
the most successful investor, you look at their fund performance, it's kind of like underperform underperform the market. There are some periods he the Bridgewater outperform the market. But most of the but at this current moment, or in these reasons, 2 to 3 years, underperform the market significantly. But the volatility is lower than the market.
Yep. Yeah, so it has some value, right, to a short-term investor.
But as an investor, how do you know this year the funds you are investing is going to outperform market or underperform the market?
Yep. Yeah, really, if we keep arguing and it seems like more and more rationalizations come in, for example, fund manager can provide lower that is fluctuation, is it?
Volatility.
Yeah,
or
they can
drawdown.
They can make your portfolio has lower volatility.
But you can have a counter argument. Yeah, you invest in a fund, of course, you have lower volatility, but you have counterparty risk. You have, even though you invest in the SP 500, the QQQ, you still have some counterparty risk because you are betting the US market, US economic. But if you invest in the active funds or the hedge funds, you increase the counterparty risk because you are betting the company, the hedge fund will doing some will not do stupid thing. Yeah, will not like have some other unexpected event, black swan happens. Yeah, the company can lose their funds, or the company can do something bad, and then it make them go bankrupt, and then you cannot get back your money. But you invest in the SP 500, the market, you will not have this kind of issue.
Yep.
So even though you say the lower volatility of lower drawdown, but how it really important in long terms, right?
Yep.
Because there's risk to going to zero. You're trusting the company, but if you are trusting the market, you're trusting the US. Yeah. Yeah, of course, US, the whole market can go to zero. Right. But if you think that you shouldn't invest in US market, right, you can invest in our market, and you also can say, okay, I would do diversification because active fund manager, one of the value they provide is they are not betting everything in US. They diversify into other countries.
Yep.
But you also can invest into the index of different countries.
Yeah.
So you can doing the diversification. And more and more you go deeply, you found that investing in a company, they take your money, they help you do investments. There's a custody risk, which is a counterparty risk. But you invest directly in the market, then you have lesser counterparty risk. And if the market go to zero, one of the countries market go to zero, your fund manager, the part of the portfolio will also go to zero.
Yep.
And if you invest into the market go to zero, the part of your portfolio also go to zero. You suffer actually. So that means from this perspective, this is the same risk, but you invest in you delegate the hedge funds manager to help you manage your money. You actually increase your risk.
Yeah, one more risk.
One more layer of risk. So the problem is whether the volatility, short-term volatility, or the drawdown really that important compared to the downside, which is the additional layer of the counterparty risk, right? Yeah. So this is how I think this. I think from this case, for me, it's very, very difficult to rationalize.
Yeah.
Yeah. And come back to the topic, being yourself, self-esteem, self-actualization. Yeah, I think this is very complicated, and this requires us to keep putting effort in it. Think, act, behave. Yeah. And it is really not that easy.
Yep.
But this is the thing we should do.
Yep.
Yeah. So the one last question. Do you think that you are pursuing self-actualization? And if yes, why is this? And if no, what's a possible direction you think you can pursue the self-actualization?
Self-actualization of me.
Being a good teacher?
Good teacher. Yeah, this can be. But what is good? And
Yeah. And we discuss a lot of things about the education system.
Yep.
And a lot of job, including teacher, is kind of like the parasite of the systems.
Yep.
I'm not criticize teacher the job. I also a lot of job is like this. For example, politician, for example, economists. I mean, a mentioned economist.
Yep.
You try to think why an economist needs a job. If they really can understand the economy, the macro, they don't need that job. They don't need to take a fixed salary, right? Yeah. And also like accountants, also like auditor. And also a lot of industry, for example, some product, it just isn't provide value. It just like let people addict to their product, trigger their dopamine so they can get the profits. So how can you achieve how can you pursue self-actualization if you think in this way? And if you like work in a company that is not aligned with your value and kind of like, in your opinion, is not ethic, they earn the money that they shouldn't earn. Maybe it could be Facebook. They monetize users' privacy data. And you can think in a lot of from a lot of perspective. Yeah. Or maybe you are working in a declining industry, and it is so clear that it isn't provide much value to the society. Yeah, I'm talking about me. Yeah, my job. So if you expect to kind of like, yeah, especially if you are the salesman, I would say especially if you're a salesman, you're selling the product and it's kind of like just earn a living. It's not a means to pursue self-actualization. Yeah, so just now my question, yeah, do you think you're pursuing self-actualization? And if yes, what's the direction? If no, what's a possible direction you think you can pursue the self-actualization? You say teacher, right? And in which direction?
Yeah. In my job, teacher, yeah, it's also not fixed. And then we can have many teachers teaching different things. So self-actualization direction, I think, is something really meaningful and not the school curriculum. Yeah, not pure the school curriculum. And then like to tackle their exam test. Yep. And yeah, I think it's the direction that improve them, improve their thinking awareness, that direction.
Or teaching them some useful skill, help them to build habits.
Yeah.
Yeah, teach them to do something good, and let them understand something is really important. For example, exercise, meditation, journaling, and they don't need to wait until 10 years later they figure out by themselves.
Yep.
And what is your progress? Are you doing this thing?
Yeah, it's very upsetting when thinking about this. Yeah, I'm still focusing on help them to deal with the school curriculum right now.
Yeah. Is it pure curriculums? Pure academic? Just like
Yeah,
what you said just now.
I think it's like 90%.
Yeah, 90% is not bad. At least you got 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
yeah,
how
and for
about you?
me,
Yeah, your job.
yeah, for
Is
me,
it possible?
okay, for my job, I actually, first, I don't think I'm the accountants. I'm less about accountants anymore. I'm more about kind of like the engineer or the kind of like the person who think and who create the stuff, who create the tools to allow the company improve the efficiency. Yeah, but of course you can argue if you are working in a declining industry, no matter how much efficiency you can achieve, and it's still a declining industry.
Yep.
But for me, I enjoy doing those things, and I like to think, I like to create something that can kind of like improve the efficiency of let people life live more meaningful and just not stuck into like keying the data, keep keying the data, while you can automate the task. You can kind of like you save their time, and then you save their lifetime.
Yep.
And then you save them from doing the repetitive task, and they can do something more meaningful. But of course you can argue whether this will impact their life. Is arguable, because if a person keep doing the repetitive task all the time, and for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, or even 10 years, they don't even think to improve the workflow, to improve the way of doing things, to make it more efficient. The time they save from your engineering product, do they really benefit from that? How much value can create from the time saving? You can argue that. But I don't, yeah, in from this perspective, but I just don't care. I just don't care whether I can like kind of like uh uh make their time more precious, or they can like they can whether they utilize their time effective or not. I don't care about this. I just want to save them from the repetitive tasks. And how to use the time is up to their choice. And this is one side. And another side is I like to create. Yeah, I really enjoy doing this thing because I kind of like create the thing. And I found that by doing this thing, I cultivate the problem-solving skill. And also, the more I do the thing, the more I realize that even though like the programming skill is really not knowing the programming language, learning the programming language, it's actually you know how to solve a problem. Yeah, you think how to solve a problem, and then maybe the problem is too big. You break it into a smaller part, and then you tackle them one by one. If you don't know how to do it, ask Google. And the main thing is whether you can ask the question, how to improve this. It's not answer the question. Yeah, it's not answer the question. Yeah, it's asking a question. It's kind of like finding a way to improve the thing. It's not people tell you this thing using Excel, using Python, using some tool, using some library can solve a problem. Yeah, it's not like this. There's no fixed way of solve the problem. There's tons of a way. You think your own way.
Yes.
You create your own way. You engineer your own way. And this can apply to many aspects of my life. Yeah. And it's kind of like express my creativity. So I really enjoy this. And this is one part during my job.
Yeah.
I satisfied. Okay. But I agree that I actually didn't provide really much value. Yeah. To maybe the society. Because if this is a declining industry and you really cannot provide much value. Yeah. But look at the industry all around the world. How many industries really can provide the value?
Yep.
Not very, very much. Yeah, it really not very much. Even though it's not declining, it's just maintaining. And if there's a disruptive technology, can change the whole industry. Just like the Starlink, like the Ukrainians, yeah, the telecommunication company all went down, but they still can access the internet. Why? Because Elon Musk, the SpaceX company, shipped the terminal and then ship the equipment to Ukraine, and then the Elon Musk, the SpaceX also allocate some of the satellite to the area of the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And suddenly you realize that you don't need the telecommunication company, any of them. Yeah, especially when there's a war. And this is just one country, and so suddenly, how do you rebuild all the infrastructure if there's a war destroy all the telecommunication infrastructure?
Yep.
How about when it's something that's above the earth? And if there's some natural disaster happen in the earth, it just don't affect anything. And And the SpaceX just used few hours, yeah, or maybe a few days, including shipping the terminals, including shipping the equipment to the Ukraine. Just a few days. And how much time you need to build all the infrastructure, and how much value the telecommunication company industry around the world provide, how much value they're providing. They did provide value, but they are going to be replaced. The retail shop versus the online shop, e-commerce, many of the products, and traditional industry versus the AI industry. so many industries will be affected. And look at the government job. Yeah, the job in the government department. You work for the government. You work for the public sectors. Yeah. So it's arguable. I would say it's arguable. How much value you actually really provide to the society. And another part to pursuing the self-actualization, I see actually there are two other ways. There are two other directions. And one is the investment and trading. And it really is because of my current job, and I can kind of like express my creativity and improve my problem solving skill and critical thinking, thinking deep, how to solve a problem cleverly, how whether this problem should be solved, needed to solve, how to solve another bigger problem instead of solve this small problem. And slowly we'll cultivate this kind of skill, and also including this daily conversation. It really helped me a lot. Yeah. In terms of cultivating the critical thinking. And yeah, so I formed my investment thesis, even though reference from other people, and also my trading, the trading thesis and trading system. Yeah, so this is one of the way I see. So yeah, this one of way, and another way is a very silly. I would say very silly. But I would say if success, I will feel the most satisfied within these three things I mentioned just I mentioned to you. So the job and also the investments, then and and the trading. And then the third one is kind of like, you can say it is crypto, but I would say specifically is about Bitcoin. And I really want the world, I really wish the world can kind of like abundance all kind of exploitation from the poor by using the inflation. It's kind of like really extract their life, treat them like the machines, keep them at the work, keep working. They're using their life to exchange the infinite supply money, and but they have no choice. They have to do that. And I really hope the world can have a hard currency. If it's Bitcoin, that's great. That's best. Because I just don't see gold can do the job. Yeah. At this current moment, what I see is only Bitcoin can do the job. And I understand this not very early, but also not very late. and I'm kind of like witnessing the changes. If it can change in that direction, that means I can witness change. The biggest social revolution, the biggest the biggest social revolutions or technological revolutions, political, cultural revolution in the human history. Because money is really the most important thing to us. And if something can change the money and change how the money work, it really the biggest thing, the most important thing. So, and I'll be very, very satisfied for my decisions. And also I will be very, very satisfied for my critical thinking, for my ability to kind of like can maybe more or less predict or see, at least can imagine. I would say imagine, not predict. Can imagine the world, can imagine the outcome. Yeah, I will think this is very very satisfying to me compared to the previous two. Yeah. Yeah, for example, investment, yeah, you can earn 1 million, you can earn 2 million, you can earn 10 million. As long as you earn enough money, then the money more than that isn't that really important.
Yeah.
And then you will start to think, I have so much money, but I'm not happy. Yeah. But of course, yeah, this is but the third one is quite silly, I would say. But I really feel that way. And I also believe some, if not many, if not most of the Bitcoiner will also feel the way as I feel. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's all. Do you have anything you want to add in?
A little question to your last thing. Yeah, let's say one day in the future, really cryptocurrency become dominant and replace many of the current cash system. And what if it is not Bitcoin? Do you still feel dissatisfying?
If it's not Bitcoin, what can it be? Ethereum?
Maybe another coin, yeah, maybe.
But it must replace the it must suppress the market capitalization of Bitcoin first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see that coming? And if it's coming, then we know. But if it's not coming, and no point to discuss all of these things. And just like the investment is something like you need to be objective. If some coin suppress the Bitcoin, and the fundamental have changed, and even though you truly believe in Bitcoin, you should diversify some into the another coin. Yeah,
I got it.
This is investment, this is trading, but this is not the third one. Yeah, but if the coin perform better than Bitcoin, but I just don't see what else property, what else features we still need for money top up on Bitcoin. I just don't see. Yeah. And but if there's another better money, better than Bitcoin, why not? Yeah, why not? But at this current moment, I would say there's no there's no this coin. There's no this kind of coin. I can objectively tell you that. in cryptocurrency space, there's no coin. Yeah. Can do better job than Bitcoin in terms of become the money.
Yep. Yeah, I got you. Which is like if there is another cryptocurrency can outperform Bitcoin, and if that really happen, you will also like jump the ship, and then to stay with the like the strongest one, and then to witness all this happen, right?
What do you mean the strongest one? You need to look at the fundamental.
Yeah. Yeah, so right now the strongest is the Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, but if the market capitalization suppress the Bitcoin, there's something you need to know. You really need to pay attention to learn. For example, if this is like the Dogecoin, the Shiba coin, suddenly suppress the Bitcoin. Yeah, it's just a noise, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You need to look at the fundamental. Cannot just look at the price. Cannot just look at the market capitalization. Yeah, and just like what I say in the past, investment in many things, including investment and trading, understanding is the most important thing. The most important thing is not one of the most important things.
Yeah.
Okay, so anything more to add in?
No, that's all.
Okay, talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Goodbye.